Good afternoon, Mr. Kanin. It's nice to meet you. We are all looking forward to hearing your performance at Sinfonia Toronto's concert on 10th of November. I'll start off with a generic question. How did you start your career in music composition?
Oh, I started rather late in a way. I always liked music when I was younger, but didn't really study seriously. And my first degree is actually in science, and so and but I've been taking some piano, some composition lesson from Jean Coulthard, a composer from Vancouver,
Hmm.
and she is very encouraging. So even after my bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, I take a chance to study music.
Hmm.
So one thing lead to another. I have my degrees in music, and then I started composing.
That's really good to know. You have learned many things, science and side by side music also. That's a really good combination. What influence has multicultural background had on your music?
The background,
Yeah, multicultural background.
I guess, because of my Chinese heritage, I have. So initially, I didn't think it would affect my music that much, the Chinese background. When I first studied music after immigrating in Canada,
Hmm.
I actually wanted to learn Western music. But my teacher have drawn my attention to my Chinese culture, and my first composition that I did with her was to set a Chinese poem to
Hmm.
music. And from then on, I gradually have more interested in my Chinese culture, and some of my composition reflected that. Although there are some other composition where my culture does not really make a difference.
Hmm.
It's just international musical language that what I feel to write at that time.
This is my favorite question. What is your most memorable performance in your career till now?
Memorable performance?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess there are many. There's a lot of good musicians, and uh, and there are some very good performances. I guess one of the works that is larger in form would be the opera Iron Road.
Hmm.
Not so much that it is a long piece like a full-length opera, but I think it's because of the subject,
Hmm.
which is on the early Chinese immigrant in Canada. And what I didn't realize until after I finished the work was that the audience or the people generally were interested in the uh, cultural impact, or the history of that time, and that leads to more attention on Chinese immigrants. So I thought that has a side impact aside from the music. So I guess that might be a surprise for me, and it might be one of the more memorable events.
That's really good to know. Uh, are there any composers who inspire you?
There are quite a few. Uh, yes, I would say Debussy. And the one I really admire, like all this time, would be Bach. And I really liked how disciplined he is, and then how within that discipline, how he can create so much variety of music with such a large range of emotion. And I really admire that. The other influences would be Stravinsky, and and then also the Chinese music, which is comes later, when there are more performers from China coming to Canada in the last 30 years or so. I
Hmm.
get to know them and hear their ability on the instrument,
Hmm.
and that has influenced some of my writings as well.
What message do you want your audience to get from your music?
Message.
Yeah.
I think a lot of time there might not be a message. Uh, I hope they get feeling, maybe just an impression, or hopefully a kind of nice sonic experience. And for the theatrical work, perhaps there might be more emotional response.
Mm,
Um, the message sometimes um, uh, there's it might help for the listener to understand the piece.
mm,
For example, the piece that Sinfonia Toronto is going to play next week, like on November the 10th.
mm,
Uh, that piece, the title is Don Donas de Fuera, and there is a message in a way. For this piece, I was interested in the Italian or Spanish folklore by the same name, Donas de Fuera, the ladies from outside.
mm,
So the message is really my fantasy
mm,
of what this folklore is like. So the folklore is about this group of beautiful women who is interested in dedicate their life to family,
mm,
and they are tidy, and they have some magics.
mm,
So that topic was interesting for me because I'm writing for this uh, a very brilliant flute player,
mm,
LUISA,
yeah,
and she is from Italy. So I sort of borrow this folklore and write a piece that's from Italy. And so the message may be just a draw attention to this, to the Italian culture. I think folklores reflect a lot of the national characteristics of different cultures. I have done a lot for the Chinese culture, and I thought maybe I'll do the Italian folklore, and just to expand my horizon.
that's really good to know. Uh, Lastly, what advice do you have for young composers who are just starting their journey?
Um, to of course, to study to start with, and and be positive, and I think for the young composers, of course, uh, try to meet as many musicians as possible, go to many concerts, so be familiar with all sorts of music. It's good to have a good relationship with other composers and performers,
Mhm.
and so you understand what the world of music is like, and that would be helpful. And also, perhaps in my own case, I really didn't think um, early on that music might be my career. So I thought it might be good to have another um, ability to have another career, sort of aside from music,
Mm,
just just in case it might not be the exact dream that you one like to be. But it could, you still have a lot of career related to music. So I hope that they don't, they are still uh, engaged with something they do that they love to do. So yeah, but if you're young, keep trying.
that's a really good advice. Uh, Thank you very much, Mr. Kanin. I have really enjoyed our chat, and I'm looking forward more than ever to your performance at Sinfonia Toronto's concert on 10th of November. Everyone can see more details about it at sinfoniatoronto.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much.